Hello, I'm Dyron Howell from Amarillo, Texas with Snack Pack for Kids, a program that my wife and I started in our home 4 years ago to make sure kids do not face hunger over the weekend for 66 hours after they leave school on Friday. I think a lot of times people are looking for the very thin, emaciated child, and in reality, obesity is part of this food insecurity epidemic that we see in our country, because many times kids are not sure where their next meal comes from. So when they have a chance to eat, they literally will eat everything in sight. And we've all been to those occasions where a kid will eat 6, 8, 10 hot dogs, a whole pizza, 2 pizzas, and it's like, oh my goodness, they're growing. I can't believe how much they eat. And in reality, these kids are in food insecure situations, and so behaviors are really critical to identifying those kids. Our teachers are with these kids for 40 hours a week, and so who better to partner with to identify the children that exhibit those behaviors in our schools and our teachers? And the reason we know kids go hungry is because our teachers identify those students through behaviors that tell us these kids are hungry, therefore they cannot focus in the classroom on Monday morning. So what we do with Snack Pack for Kids is we work with our teachers in our schools to identify children that will go without food over the 66-hour weekend. So children get lunch and breakfast every day, Monday through Friday, but then from noon on Friday till breakfast on Monday, many kids go without. And so we create a bag that is discreetly placed in kids' backpacker lockers on Friday so that they will have a portion of the nutritional needs they will need for the weekend. And so that's really the purpose and what we do here. And this is all community-based and community-driven. There's over 180 volunteers that come here every 2 weeks and create this solution that we deliver to our schools here in Amarillo. Last year, over 3,000 volunteers in our community got involved with this program. So we took an idea 4 years ago in my home of feeding 10 kids to now there's over 5,200 kids in 30 communities that benefit from this solution, because our communities and our businesses, churches, everyone has rallied around this identified need of kids going hungry over the weekend.
When I sat with Dyron when I first met him, and he started talking about what he was doing and what his ideas were, it took me back to a 7-year-old boy thinking about waiting for, I had the opportunity to eat. And when that opportunity came and it didn't show itself, I can still remember the lump in my throat, looking at my sister, knowing that my brothers weren't going to get to eat. And I think about what Dyron has done, how much that impacts, you know, that feeling, it was at 11 o'clock at night, so I had the anxiety just going to sleep. But what Dyron has done is give people hope, knowing that they can eat, but knowing they can learn. I don't even think these kids understand how they can't learn, because they don't understand that. All they're understanding, you know, the hunger pains. I think for a child to start getting out of the habit and breaking that curse, or whatever you want to call it, for them to be able to get that and be able to learn every single day, and hopefully you can change that, because I think that's all they think about right now. I think that's all a lot of these kids think about. You can go to the Mesa Verdes, Will Rogers, East Ridge. You can go to the Woodlands. It doesn't matter what school. They're everywhere. Hunger is everywhere. It's right in front of us.
I think it all started 7, 8 years ago when I'm sitting on my couch in Flower Mound, Texas, watching Nightline. And I'll be honest with you, I was all about climbing the corporate ladder and titles and making money. And a teacher comes on and tells a story about how she started this program in her school and literally had to see a child licking his plate in the cafeteria. But then they started seeing a difference in the classroom when they did the same program where they met the weekend needs. But at the end of that story, Kayla Brown said 2 things that hit me like a ton of bricks. She said, if you don't think this is going on in your community, you need to take your blindfold off and see. And she said, I don't know how I can eat another bite knowing kids are hungry. And I'll be honest with you, I'm in tears after watching that, because I remembered a lot of kids I grew up with. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's why they did what they did. And I became much less selfish about what's important to me and putting kids first. And how can you not serve, and how can you not make a difference and want to help kids that didn't ask to be in this situation? And what is exciting is we figured out a solution to end weekend hunger. So we may have the first generation that no longer walks in our warehouse and says, I wish we would have had this solution when I was a kid. We actually have the solution. And what is going to be exciting is these kids are going to be part of that solution and continue this. And so I do this because education removes all barriers. And if you are in school, you can't learn a thing on an empty stomach. And so if we can remove a barrier to education with this program, then we've done our one very small part of making a difference.